All right, what is going on, everyone? And welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X for coverage of the 2026 New York Mets spring training. But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are regularly recorded live every Friday at 7:30 p.m. throughout spring training. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. For our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on all your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day of recording. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It would be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 189 of our show. Frank, you're back. I know that you were in Port St. Lucie last week. Catching up, seeing the new look Mets, completely new look. But welcome back. First taste of Mets baseball this week.
Yes, no, we definitely got our first taste. It was good to see mostly everybody. I mean, at least I saw Alvarez in the dugout, so that was kind of my goal, was to see him. I still accomplished that, so that was good. But overall, saw Juan Soto play baseball, saw Bo Bichette's first game as a Met. Same goes for Marcus Semien. So there definitely is a lot to look forward to. I mean, you saw some nice young pieces come into the game. We're going to talk about guys like AJ Ewing. So there's a lot to look forward to. And I think overall, I mean, we talked about it all along, but something had to change. And I feel like between all new players coming in, a lot of new assistant coaches, like last year was so bad, something different has to happen by default.
Yeah.
Whether it's really good, like it's weird. It could go really good. It could go really bad, but it's going to be different. And they need different. So, I mean, we'll see, but I mean, it is nice that games are being played. Freddie Peralta's in a Mets uniform pitching. It's good that we got baseball back.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack, obviously, because I feel like every single day for these past 7 days, we've been seeing so many great individual things being happening. Obviously, you have a few minor league arms that'll go out on the mound and they don't do well, obviously, which is kind of more expected, but we've seen so many guys already performing to such an insane level that, again, I'm not saying that it's an end-all be-all whatsoever, but I was talking about this on Twitter earlier today, or X, or whatever we're calling it. I said it's like, even on the hitting side, like the hitters, they looked more prepared. Like they just looked like a team. And listen, I'm not going to say his name, all right? I made a promise. I'm not going to say his name at midnight on New Year's Eve. I made a promise I will never say his name again.
It's called New Year's resolution.
Yeah. A New Year's resolution. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to try to keep it. Some of us don't keep ours. I'm going to try to keep it because he's gone, long gone. Either way, they look so more like what I am seeing right now is so many competitive ABs. I am seeing plenty of damage, plenty of homers, plenty of guys running the bases well. I'm seeing so much. I am seeing one thing that I will point out, and it's not backhand at all. Every throw from a first baseman has been great. Have you noticed that? That's so weird. Like every throw, we had one from Ryan Clifford against the Blue Jays. We had one throw from the seam of his pants, I think, from Jose Rojas, who, again, spring invite, but we are seeing some really good plays. Even Vientos has played a decent first base for a little bit. We saw that Britt Beatty's going to play first base tomorrow. So again, we're seeing a lot that I'm really enjoying. And again, it's not really just about, spring games. It doesn't mean anything. This is baseball. It does not matter. But it's more of just seeing the process in place. And it just looks so much different in comparison to last year. Last year, we saw an offense do pretty much nothing for like 3 weeks of spring training. Like they were all just sleeping except for Juan Soto. Like we were seeing a run here and there, but we are seeing these guys like completely go out there and they are performing. We are seeing a decent amount of hitters performing. Obviously, pitchers, a different story, but I mean, I am seeing so many. MJ Melendez, 2 homers today. Mike Tauchman has looked great. Christian Pache has looked great. I mean, we have so many different pieces of like veterans, some that have come on a minor league deals, some that are prospects that we'll get into, but I am seeing all of these options, all these guys performing well of what they are capable of, not to mention changing the coaching staff like they have. I feel good about the future of this team. I really do. And like I said, when we talked about these changes being made in the offseason, there's just so much to look forward to of, a top farm system. And when you hire the right people, it is executed properly. It's obviously very, very early. It's very, very early right now. But you do see a difference. You definitely do see a little bit of a difference, like of these little minor details. Guys not throwing to the wrong base. Guys not getting, picked off because they're looking the other direction. Guys who are not arguing with umpires while plays are still going on, which again, it seems silly. But when David Stearns went on MLB Network earlier today, and I will point it out, he said, one of our main focuses is about doing the little things correctly. Something they didn't do last year. And that is one thing. It's to like, this is a perfect set as to where you have not only better coaches from this century, but you also have more coachable players. And that's what I really, really like about this team, of how optimal it is. I don't know if that's what you have been seeing. Obviously, first week, it all could go downhill. No, who knows? But it's just been a pleasure as to where I'm like, okay, I get to watch it at 1 o'clock, games that don't matter, but I'm also watching some pretty good baseball of maybe some veterans or young players who do the little things correctly that can help you win ball games going down the line.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, spring training, you never want to put too much stock in it, but you are seeing some run totals. Like you said, especially like the home runs. I mean, there's just been like home runs left and right. And like you mentioned, MJ Melendez had 2 today. I know Tyrone Taylor hit 1, these past few days. Like, you're just seeing an offensive output that you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is weird. And like you say, like guys don't expect, like Christian Pache, he's 7 for 10. Like, you don't expect to see those things. And like I said, especially don't put much stock in it. But it's nice to see that they have options, because I think that was one of my main critiques of the team last year as well, is especially on the position player side, there was not depth. It just felt like if someone got hurt, it's like, here's Jared Young and that's it. Like you have nobody else that you could turn to.
Even Jared Young has been okay, has been hitting okay. What's going on here?
I know, but it was just that like these, like they didn't have guys that they could call up. I mean, we talk about like a lot of just roster construction. Things just were not fitting well. I mean, it felt like if someone got hurt, it was like the end of the world, because you didn't really have like replacement level players. But now it's like, oh, well, here's Melendez who could fill in. Here's Tauchman who could fill in. And if you just keep getting those guys that you could turn to, and they're not on big deals, they're on whether it's a split contract or a minor league deal. But like I always say, in a 162, so many things are going to happen. So many things that you don't plan for are going to happen, that you're going to need a whole bunch of guys. So it's nice that you have players who have been in the majors before, who, like, if they need to start for a few days or just one day, that they could do it and not be like a total liability. I mean, like you said, having guys who could play the positions defensively, like MJ Melendez, the game I went to, like he was making some nice plays in right field, so just having those guys that you could move around the diamond, it's very important. I mean, because like I said, so many things are going to happen, even during the course of a game. Somebody's going to get hurt. I mean, just like, it's going to start downpouring for an hour. Like, weird things are going to happen. Who knows? Guys are going to get like ejected. So many things can happen, that if you just have other players that you could turn to, it doesn't totally like crush your team. I mean, that's definitely going to make a huge difference for you. And like you said, I mean, the young players, it was really exciting. I mean, you'll see Noah McClain make a start, obviously, but when you see Carson Bench, we see AJ Ewing, or I think Ronnie Marusso, he's in line for a big year because he's coming 2 years off a knee injury. Maybe see some of that power coming back. Like, you just feel like there's so many different guys that are playing out there. You mentioned Ryan Clifford, like that they could have some kind of contribution. Like, they could make an impact for this team. So it's definitely going to be very interesting. If you want to read into the vibes, I mean, Juan Soto's smiling a lot more now than he did last year. So, but maybe there's something to it. Maybe there is just more of a loose feel. If there was any kind of, tension where it's like an old regime and new regime clashing heads, meds. We don't know the specifics, but they do look pretty unified. I mean, they do look like they are having just a grand old time, which, I mean, listen, like we say all the time, the 2024 Mets, like, they were loose. I mean, they said, let's have fun together. Even if we're bad, we're going to have fun. And a lot of times, baseball is a mental game. I mean, like, most guys, when you make it, you're talented. Like, in order to make Major League Baseball, like, you are a talented baseball player for the most part. You know, there's some guys that we do question, but it's a lot of times it's the mental game. And it's like, if you're able to relax and you're able to just kind of, you know, not stress and make silly, like you said, silly mistakes and things like that, and you're pressing, if you're just kind of in the flow and you're in rhythm, it makes a huge difference. So, I mean, whatever they're doing, I don't know, like I said, miss new assistant coaches, letting the guys, like, feel more comfortable. I don't know what it is, but there's stuff like that. I mean, it seems like you can't put a stat on it, but it could make a big difference.
It's not more as of right now with their performance. It's the first week of spring. More, I'm going to be looking at performance maybe in the last 2 weeks or something like that. But as of right now, I'm looking for good process. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm seeing a very dynamic, not just team, but organization. And I think it shows. And like we said, with a lot of these veterans like, you know, Mike Tauchman or MJ Melendez, maybe there is a point where this organization, and I hope that it's now here, where they communicate well with them, or it's a good organization to play in. And they're like, hey, you know what? I'll start the year in AAA. Why not? And I'll stick around for you. Like, maybe there is a point where a guy like Craig Kimbrell is like, hey, I'll stick around in AAA. Why not? I'll do so. Why not? I'm already on a minor league deal. This is a good opportunity for me. Why not? Because, you know, you're always going to need those players. There's obviously going to be guys who opt out of that contract. I do think that Christian Pache is going to be one that opts out of that contract. Even though that's a defensive center fielder, obviously. It's one of those things. It's like, this is a team now. They're forming a team now. It's not just 4 players and the entire Austin. And this is what we were arguing about and talking about. And obviously, we still have to see it. But it's just those little details of like, okay, there's something different here. Something different is going on. Let's see if we can sustain it and continue. And that's what I really, really like about how this team is looked at. And it's not like we have a lack of star power here. You know, we have a focal point of this team. We know that there's been some bumps here, but speaking of non-bumps, and this is going to sound like a complete jinx here. So if I jinx them here, Frank, I'm going to ask you this question, okay? We have been in spring training since pitchers and catchers have reported, it has been 16 days. It is the 27th right now. Name me one pitcher injury.
I don't have any that comes to mind.
No. We don't have an UNC injury report. None.
No.
Nothing.
Yeah, and what's interesting too about that is you mentioned someone like Brett Beatty, who hasn't really played because they're talking about like, oh, you know, hamstring, this, that, the other. When I went not only to the game, but one of the days during the week, I saw like the practices, workouts, whatever. Like Beatty was running the bases. He was doing a whole bunch of sprinting and hitting. So it's not like he's injured. It's not like the guy can't play baseball. It's like they're taking it slow. Like they're making sure that these guys are 100%.
They've done the same with Alvarez.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like, but it's just to make sure these guys are 100%. Like you see Luis Robert hitting bombs in practice. But he's not playing because they're like, let's not have these guys play spring training just to pull a hamstring, just to.
And this is how you use your resources.
Soft tissue injuries, but like actually taking their time, make sure they're 100%. This way, like there's no. A lot of times, like it's silly injuries. It's stuff that like you're out for like a week or 2 weeks, and then like you're trying to get your rhythm back, stuff like that. So they're taking it very slow, very cautious, and I mean I feel like that really could pay off. I mean I can't remember a time when the Mets acquired a player and said, even Luis Robert is jacked, that there's like certain muscles that need to be strengthened more. Like I feel like I've never heard that with a Mets acquisition. What I mean. But I'm good at it because like on the other side of town, Giancarlo Stanton can't open a bag of chips because his elbows. You know, it's like you kind of need to make sure you got your.
It's crazy that he was actually really, really good last season with that detail coming out. Yeah. He had like what was it, 150 OPS plus last year. Not being able to open a bag of chips. That's impressive. Either way. But we all know the limitations of Stanton at these.
Again,
at this
one
point.
of the best physiques, yet I mean, stuff happens.
Yeah.
And it's
big guys get injured.
It's the guy. Yeah. It's the guys that you wouldn't think like, oh, that guy looks he's in great shape, can't get injured, but they could have like the worst injuries. Yeah. So sometimes,
and that's how I want them to use the resources. Details. It's not just spend money, trade assets. Get me the best trainers. Get me the best people in the business. That's what I want. Hire the best people. That's how you become a penultimate organization. That's how you become one of those organizations that players want to play for. Who the hell knows what Luis Robert was going through with the White Sox? They probably said, here's a cup of lard. Drink this. Go out there. Who knows? Who knows? Either way, some of you guys in the chat, as we get the opening Yap session, before the closing Yap session at the end, Baseball Life saying the Mets are looking so good. It's been fun this first week. I'm enjoying it. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop because, typical Mets fan. But as of right now, I'm having fun. Every 1 o'clock, I'm tuning into a game, even if it's not televised. I'm like, ooh, what did we do today? Matt saying, but there is no Cheeto Bear, Carson. How could you say that? Yeah, it's rough. It is very, very rough. Obviously, just brutal, absolutely brutal. Ricardo saying Bench, Pache, Tauchman, Melendez, Taylor for right field. Tough decision. Lots of tough decisions. And like I said, building up an organization. Maybe they say, hey, I'll chill in AAA for you. Why not? I'll wait. Why not? I mean, that's how it makes it, Either way, Jay-Z saying, I really have no clue who is going to be the opening day right fielder. Everyone is performing so well. That's a good problem to have. I do believe it's a good problem to have. We know that Beatty's going to be in that conversation for right field, which I've already talked about it. I'm like, I don't understand why we're doing this. However, it looks like they want it to be Carson Bench. And I think it's very obvious of how much they want that to happen. However, every single one of these guys in this right field competition, Tauchman, Melendez, Benj, if you want to put Beatty in there, they're all left-handed hitters to Tyrone Taylor's right hand. So if you put Benj in AAA, you can have a right field platoon for a little bit, give a few plate appearances to Benj in AAA. Maybe he's up here by May, whatever. And that guy can bat ninth. Tauchman, I would love to see Tauchman on the opening day roster. Melendez, hit or miss, I would say. Who knows? We know that Taylor is likely going to be the fourth outfielder for this team, guarding any injury, obviously. But you're going to see those injuries. But it's all about, having the best guys out there, not just on the field, but in the organization. Like I said, coaching matters. It really does. And from what I've been hearing from the Mets' new pitching coach, Justin Willard, I talked about this with Dexter Henry last week, about his outlook for every single pitcher. A lot of the things that I've wanted a lot of these pitchers to do, Minaya with the changeup, and then Senga with the ramp up between starts and the recovery between starts, and Clay Holmes learning to pitch learning his control a little bit better against left-handed hitters. Like, there's so many little details that I feel like they're trying to be prepared for in comparison to the last coaching staffs, which we have talked about thoroughly a lot. It's very, very early, obviously. I know everybody's going to have their overreactions, but for the first weeks, I'm always like, okay, what's looking good here? What is looking good? What's encouraging? What's the feel here? It's baseball that doesn't count. We still are here for another 4 weeks in spring training. There's still plenty to work out. Speaking of working things out, I do want to get into Bo Bichette, who has been playing third base and will be our starting third baseman on opening day. It started off, let's say, a little bit rough for him because the media was completely going after him for one throw that he had that I'd say was a little off target, but the first baseman, Jose Rojas, really screwed up the play as well. His footwork was terrible around the bag. but for the first game that he played, obviously, you know that there's going to be growing pains there. I think he's played a decent third base so far. We haven't seen as much, obviously. But one thing I will say, and again, listen, everyone can have their opinions. We can react to it accordingly. Frank, I don't know if this is like this whole, and even though he did make like that one barehanded play like 2 days later, let's relax for a second. Okay, let's just relax. It is not, the clock hasn't struck March yet. All right? Hasn't struck March yet. I think that the throws have been strong enough. I just don't want them airmailing into the crowd, and we haven't seen that yet. So I think he's got to the ball well. I think that he's been okay to his right so far. There's a little bit of an adjustment here, but at one point, we got to be like, okay, it's the first week of spring training. Okay, let's not be like, well, this is going to be a disaster. Let's not make insane posts of baseball media companies that go out there, and you know who I'm talking about. They're like, oh, he messed up at third base. Go after him. Like, it's a new position. We know that he could be capable of it because he has quick hands. He's a shortstop. He's an athlete. Same thing with Jorge Polanco at first base. Like, 4 shortstops. Those guys have abilities that can be unlocked at different positions. Again, I don't know. Again, I think he can be serviceable there, but also, like we said, having options. Brett Baty can play third base. I think Ronnie Mauricio is a good defensive third baseman as well. There's options there. So it's not like we can just, we have to staple ourselves to Bo Bichette at third base. Maybe move him over to second. Obviously, he's making $42 million a year, but it's short term, right? It's fake money until next year, right? So, again, Frank, I don't know did you get to see the Bichette throw live? Yeah,
I did. That was the first game.
Did you go and cry into the bathroom afterwards? Was it very emotional for you? No?
I was not very emotional because I was still figuring out because, like you said, the footwork at first base was not great. That I was like, what did I just see? Like what just happened there? Because it was so like strange because the throw was online. You know what I mean? Like it's on the right. It was all right.
Yeah.
The play just didn't get completed. So you're like, is that the third baseman? Is that the first baseman? But I will say though is that when it comes to Bichette, it's like we say, who's around him, because if you have a player that either has deficiencies in one area or they're in a new position, one of the ways to complement that is who you put around them so that it doesn't stand out as much. It's kind of like in basketball. If you have a really weak defender, but you surround a bunch of great defensive players, you could hide them a little bit, put them on certain players, different matchups. But in baseball, it's like, the guys in common each other. And like we mentioned, he hasn't played next to Lindor yet. So, I mean, that's a factor. Like, that's good. That's a whole new animal.
And he won't for a while. So.
Yeah, and he won't for a while. But, like, that's like Lindor, he covers a lot of ground. He really controls the infield. He's kind of like the quarterback in a certain sense. So, like, he's going to be doing a lot for Bichette. But I think what would concern me more is, like you said, with Rojas having, like, that bad footwork, is that, like, if you have an inexperienced third baseman who, in general, is not a great defensive shortstop in the first place, so there's already defensive concerns in general, you need to put him with a solid, steady first baseman, an experienced first baseman.
Likely,
This way,
or one that can stretch.
Yeah, it's like this way. If he has like a weird throw, it's like, oh well, the first baseman could adjust. He just reaches up, he gets, or like I said, he scoops it. But I'm very curious to see like if Bichette's going to be kind of hit or miss, where like he's got some good plays, he's got some bad plays. How does an inexperienced first baseman, whether it's Polanco or Mark Vientos, how do they adjust to that? Because I mean, like we said, who's going to be in right field, but also who's going to be at first base? Like we've seen reports that Brett Baty might play some first base too. Like, and that's kind of what I said last time I was here. Like, I feel like Baty is going to have a role where he's playing everywhere. You're going to see him at third.
Likely.
You're going to see him at second. You're going to see him in the outfield. You might see him at first. He just might end up being in the lineup every day, basically, but just in different positions. He might be DHing some games. Like, that could be the role he's in. But at the same time, it's like you're still going to have first basemen who are not traditional first basemen. So, and it's like, what would worry me, I would say, is that like, if you know a player has erratic like throwing accuracy, I'm always afraid of when that's going to strike. Like, when is that play going to happen where the guy just inexperienced and he totally messes it up and it costs you? because I mean, I'm not overreacting, but I'm just saying that like
True.
the Mets knew that Lucas Duda did not have a good arm. Like we knew
True.
he was not a great defender, and when it's at first base, you don't worry about it too much. But there could just be that one time, and that's all.
We
it
know.
takes. And I'm not saying it's gonna happen to Bichette. I'm not gonna say his arm is gonna make or break the Mets in a World Series or playoff game, anything like that. But just in general, you never know when that could strike, and I think that's what would kind of worry me is that he's got a whole season to figure it out, but this is a new position for him, and I think to be safer, if it was me, I would rather him play second base. It's tougher with Semien being there and being a great defensive second baseman himself. But like you said, worst case scenario, he's my DH. And if Ronnie's playing really good, or like I said, if Beatty's doing well, they could be the third baseman. But for me, like it definitely it's concerning. I'm not gonna say overreact, but I'm not 100% confident in it either. Like I'm kind of let's see how it goes, but it's going to be an interesting development for sure. It's going to be one of the big things to watch.
With Lindor next to him, again, I don't really have much concern about the range, obviously, because we know that his lateral ability is not the best because he's had a lot of lower body injuries and it's definitely declined. So it's more just about what he is doing to his right, and it's more about, okay, what is the quality of these throws? And I've already said, if you're going to put a former shortstop at third base, he's an athlete. He could definitely get to any ball. The only concern I have is about the throws, because we have seen throws from him from shortstop that have been awful. Like he does not have the best arm, and that's one of the assets that you have at third base that is very, very important. And I think that that's one thing that we're going to have to look out for. I just don't want them being airmailed into the crowd. I mean, like you said, with those certain throws, we've seen plenty of throws go completely haywire, not just from third base, but from first base. Like I said, all the first baseman throws have looked good so far. Like they've actually been getting rid of the ball, not airmailing or almost injuring any pitchers or anything. Like those little details. With Bichette, I only have concerns with him on the backhand. That's pretty much it. To his right. That's really all I have the concerns about, and we'll see how that goes, obviously. Does he have a strong enough arm to do that? Coming in, I think he's going to be fine. I think he's looked good coming in. But to his right is the only concern that I have, and that is definitely going to come with adjustment to the new throwing angle that he's going to have, as opposed to him being a shortstop. Easy saying, sounds like you're overreacting. Yeah, kind of. First week of spring. We're just saying what we see. We're saying it. But it's a new position, so there's definitely questions.
Yeah, but
about
all I'm saying is that like there's going to be bad throws. Like
sure,
like that's and like you said,
Lindor's had bad throws, and he's exactly. a premium defender.
Everyone has bad throws, but like you said, like you have a whole sample size of his career in Toronto to go off of. We're not just overreacting to spring training. We're also talking about your entire career and you struggling. And again, for the Blue Jays in the World Series, he was playing second base. So they didn't put him at shortstop. They didn't put him at third base. They put him at second base, where that arm cannot do as much damage. And they had an experienced first baseman in Toronto. So, I mean, you kind of have like other teams to go off of the example. It has nothing to do with the Mets. It has more so to do like, well, what have you been in your career?
Yeah,
and I think also, and to me, like, here's a guy who was primary position was shortstop, and David Stearns flat out told you, Bo Bichette's not playing shortstop, even with Lindor hurt.
Yes,
Bo Bichette is not playing shortstop.
True.
I feel like that was telling, and you know what? And I think Ronnie could hold it down just fine until Lindor's ready. And to me, it's like the game that I saw, Bo was at third, Ronnie was at short, and Melendez was in right field. I might have saw the opening day configuration. You know what? Like that might be what they're running with. If Lindor's not ready, you can see Ronnie as short and Melendez in right field for opening day. I think it's totally possible. I feel like they might have showed kind of what they're thinking so far. Yeah.
I mean, you never know. I did not want Bo Bichette in that conversation. It was either third base, second base, or DH for that, because DH is not really completely written in because you could have Polanco there. It's just very optimal as of right now for this team, and that's what I really like about this roster is that they can pivot to something if it's not working out defensively, or if it's not working out offensively, there's possibly some other options as well. And, Jose Rojas is a minor league deal. He's a spring invite. That's whatever. Fun fact about him, last year, he hit 32 home runs in AAA for the Yankees organization. Another Yankee. So I'm going to guess he's just known for his bat, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? But it was a bad play all around. It got way too much media press. It was just like absolutely ridiculous. But everybody, they'd rather have their clicks or not. It's just how this media is going to work. If the Mets screw up, they're going to screw up. It's whatever. And it's going to be amplified. We already know how that is. But it's all really just about keeping grounded to the context of this is spring training. There's a reason why we play spring training, because these guys need to rep up for an 162 game season, which is a journey, a massive journey. Either way. Listen, I think we just need to relax with Bichette. It's fine. I think we've had some decent performances to where they can kind of mask it as well. We know that Bo Bichette's biggest asset is his bat, which seems to have not skipped a beat at all. He's looked pretty good so far. And that's one of the main things that I think we all are expecting to get from Bo Bichette. And again, there's other options at third base if it does not work out. And it's not like they're completely tied down to this. If you were to say, and I said this from the very beginning, if you were to say this is a 7-year deal for Bo Bichette to play third base for you and nothing else, then I'm like, okay, this is going to be an issue. But no, possibly a 1-year deal. Who knows if he maybe opts in or something. He's still young. Maybe he bounces back if he doesn't have that good of a season this year. So they have flexible options for it, where it's like, it's not that big of a deal if it doesn't work out. There's plenty of guys. I mean, even Talkman, minor league deal, cut it loose if it doesn't work. Melendez, split deal. He can play in the minors. He played in the minors last year. It's one of those things where there just really isn't much risk. And they're also giving some leeway to the young guys. And even MJ Melendez talked about with Carson Bench. He said, about veterans pushing the young guys. And I've talked about this so many times. You can't just give, especially on a contending team, you can't just give the job to the prospect. You have to get them to earn it. You have to have guys who can learn from those veteran guys. And when they see guys like Talkman performing well, they see Melendez performing well, they want to perform well as well. That's it. It all goes from the very top to the very bottom of either veteran presence, veteran leadership. Like you lead by example. And even if it is, I don't see Melendez as a clubhouse leader, but I'm just saying he's a veteran. He's been in the league as well. He shows tools that Benj could possibly show at the major league level, similar to the Jose Iglesias stuff with Luis Angel Acuna, things like that. It goes a long way. It really does go a long way. It's not just the back of the baseball card that we can just completely judge it by. There's other things that come into the factor because, like we said, for 6 years, 7 years, 6, 7, for those, all those years with this team, individual performances got us nowhere. I
think it's important to have organizations, and I know it's such a cliche, it's such an old man saying, but guys that play the game the right way. It seems like something that should be a guarantee, but you see some guys who don't, and bad body language, bad decisions, and it could kind of mess things up. People are like, oh, that's what we're doing. Oh, okay, then we're not going to try. But if you see everyone from top to bottom, I mean, just giving it their all. I mean, good fundamentals, having the right attitude. That's contagious, and it makes everyone else, the young players. I mean, they're very they're just watching what they see from the big league guys, and whether whether the best player or they're just kind of on the fringe, everyone can make an impact. It's just seeing a bunch of guys who are showing the right way to play. It definitely makes you want to play that way too. So I think them just seeing other guys like Melendez, exactly. You don't want to act the way Jeff McNeil does with everything, but I just think overall, it can make a big difference when you see just a whole group of guys of a good organization of good people could also make an impact.
Yeah, it's again, and when you have resources that Steve Cohen has, use them to your advantage. use it to that where you can cover up those details. You can find a way to improve the dimensions either of the organization or the team. It's just there's so many things that you need to, put together to be a sustainable organization or sustainable winner. That, again, those attention to detail pieces are very, very important. And, I love my numbers. I love so many numbers. I'll get into some numbers later on with some pitching performances. But there's always other elements that go on here. I can give you numbers until I'm blue in the face. But, and I've probably done it before. But there comes to a point where there's details of leadership. There's details of, things that we do see on the field that are very, very important. And I like to keep a little bit of a balance into that. Obviously, you keep a base of the numbers because numbers are numbers, and you score runs, you win games. It's that simple. But it goes to a point where you're like, there has to be a good attitude too. There has to be your leadership. There has to be a lead by example. But it also has to come naturally. And this is, something I can clue you in on because you weren't here for it. When Steve Cohen said, I'm not going to name a captain. That was my decision. We're not going to name a captain. Obviously, we know there's been talks about Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso over the years. Like, there's been talk about that. But I kind of agree in that sense as to where let's not just be like, yeah, hail to this leader, or that, you know what I mean? Okay. But like it comes to a point, it's like you need a mix. You need a balance of like, these veterans at these certain positions and these certain details that naturally come. And I do agree in that way. And then also a lot of these reports that were coming out in the offseason, it's just like, who cares about this right now? Let's just win some baseball games. I don't care who is named captain. I don't care if you draw a C on a guy's forehead with a Sharpie marker. Just win ball games. That's all I care about.
Yeah, it's like the Dodgers have no captains. There's nobody with the C on their jersey. I mean, they spend money, they get good players, and like you said, they score more runs and they win games. You know what I mean? Like, all the teams they made before, Blue Jays, maybe you want to say it's Vlad. Okay, you could. It's like Mariners, who's their captain? Maybe Cal Riley, like maybe, but like it's not just like so like, oh, this is the captain. Like they don't. It's not really. To me, it's not really a baseball thing. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, like you have guys who maybe have a nickname like, oh, the captain, but a lot of times it would have to. There's like very certain criteria. It would take forever to go over it, but it's just like it's not necessary. Is the bottom line? It's more so like, instead of having one guy lead the team, how about just the team is all united and everyone goes together? Like, it's more so about to be like the team, not just because baseball, I mean, it's a 26-man roster. Like, it's not a one-man sport. It's not like, it's not, oh, well, based on how this one player does, that's going to decide everything for us. If that's the kind of team you've assembled, you've already failed. Like, you need to have so many different guys stepping up. So, I mean, to me, it makes sense.
Exactly. Like, when it comes to every unless you're maybe Shohei Ohtani, I don't know, because he plays both sides of the ball. However, there still are other things that he doesn't do. Like, he doesn't play defense. He doesn't catch, like he doesn't do that stuff. One player can't do everything. And that's where I feel like it points to this modern age of when you're like, oh, this is a captain. It's like, give me leaders. Give me guys who lead by example. Because if you have just one guy leading by example, and you have a clubhouse of 25 other guys who, the message is inconsistent, it's just one of those things where if you're establishing who's the captain, it's whatever. If you are going to do that, that's fine. But I also do feel like you had that certain uncertainty in that clubhouse. Even if we're talking about like the leadership in that way, I do believe that maybe it was, and I think that there is some proof about it, where there were some players who were like, who is the leader here? Who is the leader? Is it Lindor? Is it Marte? Soto said it was Marte. It might be Marte. Soto's getting paid all this money. He's a great player. Maybe we should follow him. Is Nimmo? He's been here for a long time. Is it Alonso? He makes fart jokes. Is it... Who was the leader? I have no idea. Like, there's some that lead by example. There's some that, lead vocally. There's some guys who, take action, like David Wright throwing lunch in the garbage at spring training because, spring training, right?
A lot of times,
make a reference
in order to have a traditional captain, it needs to be someone who is either homegrown, is the best player, or has been there a long time. And in most cases, they need to have all three of those criteria, and the Mets didn't have any of that. Because, like I said, Soto's the best player, Lindor's the most vocal, but Nimmo had the most tenure. So, like, there was just no criteria. Even if you were to do it, no one fit it.
Yeah, it comes to a point of, like, I just don't think that it's like, oh, well, best player, they're the leader. Follow the leader here so you can be better. These guys are different. Like Soto, there's been talks about him. It's like, he's more preserved. He's not as vocal. It's not like he completely hates being there, even though, media will say that he does. But it comes to a point where with leadership, you have to lead by example. There has to be a message that is sent that is better for them to achieve what they are trying to achieve and maximize things to what we know that they are capable of doing. And they weren't doing that. And I feel like there was a point of emphasis where we had to make this David Stearns' team. Because, again, he's all the sustainability we know. In Milwaukee, yes, he didn't win a World Series. They were in the playoffs every year. Can we say that about us? No, we can't. Let's get there first, Let's get to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. I would love for that to happen, right? And like we say, Rome isn't built in a day. You don't win a World Series in a day. So, again, and it may sound like we're like, oh, we're still skeptical. First week of spring training here. But it's all about the process here, the decision making.
If you're a Mets fan and you're not skeptical, then you haven't been watching very long.
But for me, I'm just glad that there's something. I'm just glad that there's something new. I'm glad that there's something new. I'm glad that there's a message that's out there that's a lot different in comparison to just, oh, here's the team. Let's scrap it together. Go out there, you pieces of shit. That's basically the motto that I see. It's like some of these guys weren't brought in by this management. And it's very telling that, management wants their own guys. We know there's a point because they all, like, every executive has their own different vision. But I'm going to say, you know what? Let's trust David Stearns on this one because he's built winners before, winning teams, at least, that play winning baseball. Like, again, I've already talked about it before. There's a difference between winning ball games and playing winning baseball. The Mets were winning ball games at the beginning of the year last year. Woo! The way that they were playing, it wasn't winning baseball. And what did it show in the end? It wasn't good enough. And even though they fell one short, and David Stearns destroyed this team by bringing in such an awful pitching staff. I get it. It was a nightmare. No one's saying he had a good year at all. Everything went south. But again, when it came to the whole point of if they even made the playoffs, did anybody really trust that team to do anything? I thought they would have, to be honest, if they made the playoffs last year, I thought they would have gone out even sadder than 2022. Like, I had no faith in that team. I was just like, okay, let's end this season now. Put me out of my misery. I'm done with this. It just wasn't, there was a feel of a team that had absolutely no fight. And it showed as simple as you possibly can. 0-70 with behind after 8 innings. You had defensive mistakes that would snowball. How do you do that? You subtract the deficient players that cause that and enable that. And show it as leaders, such as the guys who departed this offseason. Seen as leaders. Yeah, we can see that you're seen as leaders because it leads by example. Then you have young guys doing stupid shit too. It shows. And it also shows, in that hockey team. Like Matt's saying, the guy who was named captain at the beginning of the year, JT Miller. It shows. It definitely shows. It bleeds through. It shows. And it's not like something that, Good players make a fantastic team. Let's play fantasy baseball. There's a human element to it. And like we said, there's a mental game here too. And I'm hoping to see some initiative being taken and adjustments being made with this new coaching staff. We're going to have our eyes closely on it as well. Is there going to be mound visits in a certain situation? Are they going to do it early enough or too late, like the last was doing it? Is there going to be a point where, now this is one thing I want to see, and this is one thing that goes to Francisco Alvarez as well and the catchers. If there is a pitcher that's losing it a little bit, let's say he starts off a count 3-0. Are they going to be like, hey, go out to the mound, give him a breather? They're going to do that. Is there going to be an initiative there? Because that would be awesome to see, leading by example like that. Because those little things go a long way in a 162-game season. And that's what I really, really want to see. A united group of dogs. That's what I want to see. Anything else that you want to add here? And we'll get into a pitching prospect that had a pretty decent showing that may be on his way to the majors in the next year or so.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're not going to know a lot of that stuff until we actually see it, like when you're in the true scenarios, like how they do approach certain things. But really, I mean, it's more so just a game of adjustments. Like, especially if you want also talk about the hitting side, like the way you'll see that they're not making adjustments and that pitchers are doing like the same thing for every guy. And a lot, like we talk about swing decisions. You know, you're in great hitters count, you're taking. On the flip side, you're in pitch count, you're chasing. Like, a lot of times, like, just not looking like you even know what you want to do. I mean, strike three right down the middle. Like, no two-strike approach. Like, I want to see if that stuff is improved at all, because that is where it was very noticeable. That it's like, how is that even possible that this is happening at Major League Baseball level? And it was happening constantly. So that's the kind of stuff that we have to wait and see.
Yeah, for me, I'm just looking at the quality of swings. I'm looking at the quality of the ABs. I'm not really looking specifically at the results, but am I seeing them waving at sliders in the other batter's box? Am I seeing them taking a 3-1 count down the middle, a meatball, a curveball hanging right down the middle? So far, I've seen an efficient approach. Not perfect, because there's always going to be bad swings, because, you know, by probability, every 10 swings, maybe 2 of them are a bad one. Who knows? It's about being efficient. And as of right now, I'm seeing an efficient team so far. Like, I'm seeing a team that actually is playing productive baseball, doing the little things correctly. And I'm hoping that that continues. And I hope that, you know, snowballs into winning. Because when we saw things snowball into losing, maybe we can go the other way around. That'd be cool. That would be awesome. And it's come to a point, it's like, oh, I'm seeing a good performance every single day so far, which is awesome. And those are the first weeks of spring training of how it feels. It's like, I want to see things that are encouraging every single day. Speaking of encouraging, we know that the Mets pitching pipeline has some really strong hopes for it going down the line. We know that the Mets have about a lot of pitching prospects and more on the way in some of the lower levels, but there has been one that actually made his spring MLB camp debut, who was a non-roster invite, who is, I believe, if I get this correctly, Jack Wenninger, who is the Mets currently. He is their 11th ranked prospect in the pipeline. He just came off of a fantastic year, all in Double-A. And he got the start a few days ago against the Astros. And he was actually pretty impressive for a guy who is not seen as the high profile of McLean or Tong or all of these other guys who get mentioned a little bit more. Jack was pretty good. He pitched 2 innings. He faced 10 batters, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He was losing he started off a little bit shaky, but he definitely dialed in. But we saw a little bit of a kitchen sink from him. He has a fastball that is exceeding velocity from last year, where he was at about 93 to 94. He was sitting at 95.3 in his outing, 18 inches of induced vertical break, which is fantastic. Fantastic shape, obviously. A plus slider, plus curveball, obviously, as well. He was managing contact fairly well. He was getting a decent amount of swings and misses. He was doing very well against left-handed hitters, which is one thing that you emphasize a lot when it comes to right-handed pitching prospects. How do they bode well and try to get chases against right-handed hitters? And he did pretty well. Former 6th-round pick, obviously, by the New York Mets in 2023 out of the University of Illinois. That's 186th overall in the draft. Last year posted a 2.92 earned run average across 135 and 2/3 innings in Double-A Binghamton during the 2025 season. And he threw a first pitch strike to 6 of those 10 batters, so he's getting ahead of the count, obviously. Four-seam, changeup, sinker, slider, curve. Again, this is not considered... Wenninger is not considered the top pitching prospect for this team. But let's say if there's a spot start needed from him, could it be a future piece to this rotation? Who knows? We don't have that many pitchers locked in right now. I hope they get one pitcher locked in before opening day starts, but that's a different story. But either way, decent showing from Jack Wenninger, and definitely good for the first taste of this pitching pipeline that has definitely grown over these past 2 seasons under David Stearns. So Frank, obviously, spring training, he's on the, but either way, had a good season last year, and let's see if he can build on it. Likely will be starting in AAA because he had 135 Double-A innings last year.
Yeah, I will say that, like, anytime you have a 6th-round pick who's your 11th overall prospect, that's either a really bad thing or that could be a good thing, that you were able to find a good prospect on, like, a lower end of the draft. So I think it's something that, like, depending on your system, and which right now the Mets have a good system, so that showed that, like, hey, listen, this is a pick that you got really good value out of. But to see a Double-A guy, putting together a solid start, again, it is spring training, but still, he's facing better than Double-A competition. That definitely is encouraging. And like similar to, like I said, with the hitting side, with the pitchers, I mean, you need even more. I mean, we talk about all the time.
Oh, yeah.
What do you need? Like 30 pitchers at least? Maybe more.
400.
Yeah, like depending on the season, you're going to need a ton of guys. So what the hope is that, like, by the time his turn comes around, basically, like when you would need him, he's ready to go. Because like you said, if he starts the season in AAA, he's getting... not major league level, but as close as he can get major league level, to where, you have guys that you could turn to when needed in those spot starts, because that's where you're really going to need guys when you never know. Because you know what, the way the weather's been in New York this year, there could be a lot of rain delays. There could even be snow. I mean, who the heck knows right now? Because there's going to be times where you have a bunch of double headers, and you know what, if you're trying to not have your guys get injured all the time, you're going to need some other people to step up. So having young arms that have, like, actual upside potential to turn to, and not just sign a random veteran. I mean, how many times have we seen that, where the Mets just get, like, these guys that are so past their playing days, have no business making a major league start, yet start them anyway. Like, getting away from that is what can make a big difference for you. You want to talk about, like, you missed the postseason by 1 game. It's stuff like that could go a long way in getting you to the postseason. It's like just having competent baseball players fill in. Again, it shouldn't be a big ask. It shouldn't be like this huge thing to do, but you'd be surprised because, like, if you've watched it long enough, you see some stuff that you're like, why is this guy here? Like, what are we doing? Like, and we've said that so many times throughout the years with the Mets. Like, what are we doing having these guys out there? So, if you have a young guy who's showing you some stuff, and like you said, new pitching development, you have Stearns at the top of it, you have a new pitching coach, that you see these guys make those, steady improvements, that definitely could be something big. And like you said, I mean, they have pitchers coming from all over. They traded one in Brandon Sproat, but it's like, listen, Christian Scott's now rehabbing, and obviously we know, and Jonah Tong might be throwing harder now. Nolan McClain is awesome. Like you're
Yeah.
seeing, everywhere you turn, it's like, oh, here's another one. Ryan Lambert's eating 30 eggs in a day and he's throwing 100 miles an hour. Like you just have pictures everywhere, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like this is really exciting that you have all these young arms. And listen, pitching could really carry an organization, and no one knows it better than Mets, a team that's been a pitching franchise. So if you have young guys, and we know pitching is a premium, like you saw what I say every time, but you see what Framber Valdez gets. Like you see some of these contracts that get thrown out there, and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy got that. Like you see how much pitching costs. If you have it internally and you have it on the cheap, because the guys you drafted, that could go such a long way. Because then like you said, you could spend big on the bats, and you really just make a much better baseball team.
I mean, the key to young pitching, to me, it's like, okay, you draft well, you develop well. They break out, you sign them before Scott Boras gets to them. That's literally that's basically the key to here, and that's going to be that is going to be something that I'm going to be pushing for, and I'm wanting them to do with Nolan McClain if this continues to go to the level that it is. However, as for the Mets pipeline, I mean, there were so many ridiculous performances last year from the Mets farm system that some of these guys that aren't even ranked on just like traditional pipeline or whatever, and also from the offensive side too, you can go completely down the list. Nolan McClain had a fantastic year last year, came up to the majors, was great. Carson Bench, insane year. That's prospect number 2. Jonah Tong, he was one of the best minor league pitchers in all of baseball last year. Jacob Reimer, breakout year last year. AJ Ewing, breakout year last year. Ryan Clifford had a good year. Even Mitch Voigt, who they just drafted, was decent in the lower levels of the minor leagues as well. Ilian Pena was good for a little bit. He's obviously 18 years old. It's just from all aspects, these guys are just completely breaking out. If you're going to talk about quality full seasons, I would say about like 23 of your top 30 right here were amazing last year. Were great, and they had they had career years in 2025.
And you listed first round picks. You listed guys who were drafted, much later than the first round. You mentioned international free agents, someone like Pena. So it's like when you're hitting on all different aspects of it. I mean, that's how you build the awesome.
And some guys can be helium prospects and be like a breakout here, and then the next level they're just not that great, which is whatever. However, who's next? Who's next? We got to keep pumping these guys out. I mean, they have to find this talent within the organization. And there's some guys that I listed right there who are not even in that top 30 on the reliever pipeline. Ryan Lambert is their 20th overall ranked prospect right now via pipeline. He's insane. He was somebody that I was waiting for a while. I got to see him live when he was in Double-A. I mean, just a disgusting fastball. Also has some really good secondaries as well. And it seems like he's got some loose screws to him as well, because he's chugging raw eggs. I don't know where that goes from here, but if that is what helps him, let's get a nut job as a possible future closer. And we know that he has future closer stuff, because if you were to look at Ryan Lambert on display against the Blue Jays a few days ago, he reached 23 inches of induced vertical break on his fastball, which is just so ridiculous. The highest combination of highest velo and highest induced vertical break is like 99 miles an hour on average with Jeremiah Estrada, who we know from the Padres, and it's like 21 inches of induced vertical break. This guy is insane. Can he be a little bit wild at times? Yes. When you're throwing that hard from that type of arm angle and that from that violent velocity, yes, it will possibly happen. However, you also have a pitching coach that said, I'm all for throwing good stuff in the zone, attacking hitters. So again, the message that's being sent, maybe Ryan Lambert is your future closer. You never know. Who knows? And relievers can be fickle as well, but there's also some other guys who had great years last year. Brett Banks was really, really good. Some of that nobody talks about. Ben Simon's another one. Ryan Ammons, who actually was traded during the Rule 5 draft to us. He was really good last year. There were so many guys. Sal Garcia, even though he's very, very wild, had a really good year as well out of the bullpen. I mean, they have a pool, a river, an ocean of talent. And it's like one of these guys are going to hit. One or two of them are going to hit, and it can go a long way on a roster spot. It really could. And there is a little bit of a concern that I do have with the Mets bullpen of like, maybe there's a little bit of a lack of velocity here. There might be. Luke Weaver doesn't throw as hard. Devin Williams doesn't throw as hard. You know, could Craig Kimbrell be back to throwing 99? I don't know. But guys like Dylan Ross, who can reach 102 and has a ridiculous splitter. Guys like Ryan Lambert. Huge. Guys like that who could be relievers. You have a reliever pipeline now. And this has all been with Stearns being here for 2 years. That's crazy. Because some of these guys were drafted by the previous regime. However, I don't believe that they would have been developed in this way without Stearns being here. And we know that for a fact because David Stearns has been known to build an insane pipeline of pitchers in Milwaukee that do not have the resources that we have under Steve Cohen. Do we ever see? I mean, we see in Milwaukee all the goddamn time. All the time. They trade Devin Williams. It's okay. We got Abner Uribe. They trade Abner Uribe maybe this trade deadline. Okay, we got Tyler McGill. Trevor McGill.
No,
sorry, not Tyler. Trevor McGill. We got Trevor McGill. You know, who's next? Payamps was good. Who was
on the Brewers either, too.
Remember Joel Payamps? Remember Joel Payamps? He was good, then he wasn't good. They let go of him. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter whatsoever. Yeah, Christian Scott was drafted as a reliever, but they are trying to maximize him as a starter because he walks pretty much no one. However, I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, you have too much and it's a good thing. And it's so much fun. You're like, okay, who's pitching today? Who's pitching today? Let's see who's pitching. It's not like, well, this guy was working at Walmart last year and, you know, he's going to go out there for us and he's going to pitch at the major league level. And yes, I would love to see there be 0 injuries like there has been so far. But that's not going to happen. That's not realistic. And you need these types of arms like Jack Wenninger, who had a great season. I didn't even mention Zach Thornton, a left-handed pitcher who last year, a 1.98 earned run average. Insane. And he is their 21st ranked prospect, by the way. 21st ranked. Because we have seen, frankly, we've talked about this all the time with prospects, even on the hitting side, the pitching side, where there was high regard for them, and then they drop. Completely drop. They reach their ceiling, get to AA, AAA, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Alex Ramirez comes to mind. Blade Tidwell struggled a lot in the upper levels. That's one. We talked about Drew Gilbert before he was traded.
We've been seeing a lot of Kevin Parada playing so far this past week.
Parada, too. That's another
top 15 pick, first round, top 15 pick.
And you know what? And you know what? With Kevin Parada, even though he's a first round pick, and he has first round potential. And, you know, there's that part of like, there's bigger expectation. Even him last year, 110 weighted runs created plus. That's better than what he was doing before. So it's like, the development is important. It really is. And it's something that can go a long way when you're building a deep roster. It's like, I don't want to be in that certain point where one guy gets injured, it's over. That's it. That's all we're going to do. And listen, we don't know if Jack Wenninger is going to be a back-end guy. Maybe he's a long relief guy. Who knows what he does in the major leagues? But they have so many guys that have showed so much promise that it's like, okay, well, this didn't work out. On to the next. There's some promise here. And you're also seeing a guy like Jack Wenninger along with guys like, like I said, Thornton or RJ Gordon. I didn't even mention him. There's so many guys. Peter Cusco is another one. He's 19 years old, second round pick last year. Ridiculous stuff. Like there's so many guys you can list out. I mean, we could do a whole stream talking about them. We still probably won't hit all of them. There's so many young guys that you can talk about here that you're seeing them also getting better too. Wenninger, like I said, was sitting 93, 94. He was touching 97 in this outing today. You're seeing things like that. And then also, it's all really just about stay healthy. That's all I ask. Stay healthy. Stay on the field. That's all we ask for. That's all we want. Don't end up like Matt Allen. That's what we're asking. Don't end up like him.
Another first-round pick who then was not a first-round pick.
Was he first?
He had first-round potential, and then
he had first-round potential. Got an overslot,
money, and
good old Brody Van Wagenen with his Canadians.
Should have been one of your best prospects, and doesn't work out. And
here's another guy. Here's another guy that disappeared off the face of the earth. Remember Calvin Ziegler?
Yes.
Gone. Where is he? Where is he? No. Joel Diaz was another one. Where is he? I wonder why. They were under regimes that just didn't pay attention to these details. And now you have a regime that does it with David Stearns, who built a sustainable winner in Milwaukee. And guess what? You have the richest owner in baseball, too. You have everything right now. Use it at your disposal. Don't just throw money around. Be smart with it. Be smart. Hire the right people. Don't suck, as like we like to say. Speaking of performances overall, just to wrap all of those performances in this first week of spring training up, games are being played. And if you guys have discovered our show during spring training or during the offseason, it's time for the return of a segment that is everyone's favorite, that being Studs and Duds. You like that? Yeah. Production value. That graphic didn't come out the best that I wanted it to, but I was like, you know what? This is the best it's going to get. One player that was good this week, we want to give a shout out to. There's plenty that we can put out there. And then one player that was not. But obviously when we're saying that he was not, it's definitely an overreaction because it's the first week of spring. But obviously, hat tip to these guys, Studs. Like we said this off stream that we're going to kind of rig it here, and we already planned who we're going to say, and we're going to do a little bit of a rundown. But I think also people can agree with the performances they had over these last 2 days. So Frank, you can take your half for your stud. I have no idea who this is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's definitely guys to choose from. We saw a lot of good performances, but we'll go with what we saw today, and that was the debut of, as we have him listed here, Fastball Freddy. I mean, he was looking good. I mean, right away, first time in a Mets uniform, and he was excellent. 9 up, 9 down, 3 strikeouts, no walks, looking good while doing it. I mean, what more could you want? It really
Absolutely.
was just a very nice way for him to show what opening day is going to look like, because he was already announced to be the opening day starter. So, I mean, he's someone that they're going to ask a lot of him, and it's going to be a big year for him too, because the contract year, so, I mean, it's going to be something like, is he actually an ace? Well, we're going to find out, because they're going to treat him like an ace. And if he performs like one, he's going to get paid like one. So, I mean, I think, for both sides, it's going to be a big season. So I'm really pumped for opening day. He's going to be facing Paul Skeens. That'll be a tough matchup for him. But you know what? It was just nice to see a Mets starter, especially with not walking anybody, and just able to go out there and show what he could do right away. No injuries, no drama, just boom, get W's.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. And I've already said, Freddie Peralta, he's been on the radar of this show. Frank, you talked about him till you're blue in the face. Freddie Peralta, we can do a little bit of a rundown of what we saw. Freddie, quick ball Freddie, because he was working quick. 9 up, 9 down. That was it. 10 pitches in the first inning, 6 pitches in the second, and in the third inning, he had 13 pitches. I know, that's a lot. But either way, we know that it's plus stuff. Great fastball, of course, over 17 inches of it, almost 17 inches of induced vertical break. Insane vertical approach angle, obviously with that shape where he just gets insane chases as well on his changeup, which also has an insane amount of It's an insane amount of horizontal break as well to set up with sequencing, of course. There is one detail that I do want to point out here that a lot of people were talking about on Twitter. His fastball was only up to 94 miles an hour. He averaged 94.8 miles an hour in his fastball last season. I did research about this, and for him, in spring training, his velocity's always been down. So I don't think that there's much of a concern about it as of right now. But there is one thing that we can get a little excited for. There were some post-game notes as well from him where he kind of hinted that he's open to extension talks with the Mets at any time. So basically saying that we can discuss it during the season because we've seen a lot of players put a deadline for a extension with a club. Freddie Peralta is open to talking with it. I think it's mainly probably because of his familiarity with David Stearns. So he trusts him in that process. When they asked him about it, he said no comment, and he smiled. So they also asked him about the feel of the Mets so far and their organization. He said, I feel that they have my back. So to hear that after the first week of spring training, a few weeks into since pitchers and catchers reporting, definitely goes a long way. As for my stud, let's move right over to it. Ricardo said it right here in the chat. Nolan McLean. I mean, holy shit. Like, what are we watching here? He was amazing last year. Amazing for us. When he came up, he was very impressive. He looks like even better. Obviously, 6-pitch mix, all of them graded out plus. Stuff plus, 102 for his sinker, 105 for his sweeper, 105 for his fastball, 100 for his cutter. It's average. Oh well. Change up, 104, and then obviously with the spin demon that he is with his curveball, a 121, which is nearly a 80 grade curveball, and RPMs over 3,300. Just ridiculous. His fastball and sinker were up to 98 miles an hour, which are the hardest pitches he's thrown since his major league debut. He threw a first pitch strike to 8 of the 14 batters that he faced. And in overall totality, a 35.7% called strike and whiff percentage, which if you were to go off of last year in model, that's in the 100th percentile. He would be the very best. Some of the very best. Probably mainly because Jacob deGrom's not in his prime and he would be like 40%. But, he's not at that level anymore. But he's still good. Still love you, Jake. 4 innings, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 8 swings and misses, 56 pitches. I mean, just insane. It's just insane. I don't know what else I can really say about Nolan McLean that hasn't already been said, but we know how amazing this kid can be. It's all about him staying healthy, obviously. But Frank, if you want to add anything with this guy, I mean, it is just a sight. Obviously, we didn't get to see it on TV because the MLB does a fantastic job with promoting their game. I guess they thought it wasn't as marketable. Who knows? But Nolan McLean, insane. Just nuts. You don't see stuff like this. You just don't. It is just insane spin. And if he harvests it, I'd say that, that spin maybe is too spinny for his own good sometimes because he did bounce a few pitches. But I mean, this is just some special stuff that you are seeing right here. And he checks all the boxes. He really does.
Yeah, I think with Nolan, I mean, I was surprised that he even went the 4 innings because to me, like, I just feel with how good his stuff is and how young he is, like, I'm treating him like gold. I'm like, don't waste all the bullets. Yeah, just like take it easy, and don't throw as hard as you can either. Like it's just like we need you. So like for me, I would just try to be like as super careful as I can with him, but at the same time, it's just like you just kind of gotta let the guy play. So I get it, but still, like I thought, like considering that Freddie went 3 innings and that to see Nolan go 4, I thought it was a little surprising, just like so early in spring training, like before it's even March. But I mean, just overall, it's just good to see the guy on the mound because, like I said, the stuff is so elite. I will say just like one side note is that when I saw them practice while they were doing live BP, Nolan was pitching to Juan Soto, and that definitely was like a really fun matchup. And Juan Soto hit a bomb off of him, so that was just like that was power versus power, and it's just it's a matchup that like we shouldn't see. Hopefully, that like,
I would love,
like,
hopefully that we don't trade Soto to the Braves or something. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's like hopefully we just get to see these guys here, but that's just a fun little kind of like scrimmage in a way where it's just like you see like one of the best heroes of the team, one of the best pitchers on the team, just like going at it. It's like, wow, both these guys are together. It's like it's a great matchup. So it definitely was really cool.
Well, with Nolan McLean in context to the Soto matchup, I love that. I love that so much that he's like, okay, I'll take Juan Soto on. Let's go. Yeah. Let's do it.
And even there's one too where they were practicing the ABS system, and Juan Soto was batting, and he called for the ABS. And it was like just barely correct. So I was like, I told you. Yeah. And it's just, they're just kind of.
That's how guys push each other right there.
Yeah.
That's literally, really cool. That's how guys push each other. And that's, again, we want to see things like that, obviously. And that's the content that we're trying to see from spring training in the first few weeks and everything. Other guys that we got to shout out here, AJ Ewing. He has been on a tear so far. He has shown off his arm. He has showed off his speed. He has showed off his contact ability. He showed off his power today, actually, to the opposite field against the Cardinals. It was not televised, but it did happen. Just so you know. Another guy, 4th round pick a few years ago. If you guys did not know, I'm just putting out a fact in case people did not know. 4th round pick, 2023, I believe. He was the compensation pick for Jacob deGrom. So if you guys didn't know that, he stole 73 bases last year in the minor leagues. He still has some power to build to grow into, obviously, but he's just another one of those guys. It's like this is one of the pieces that can do those little things correctly. And we're already seeing that already on display for this team in spring training, in the first week of spring training. We know that Carson Bench has shown out. I'd say it's been a mixed bag for him, to be honest. He started off a little rough. Some of these swings have been a little goofy, I'm not going to lie, but he has been showing the different types of abilities he can give to you. He's shown off his defense a little bit. He's showed off his base running. He was stealing some bags as well. He's been walking a lot. The discipline of this kid is insane. You can see that a team that is trying to contend could use a player like Carson Bench. However, not gonna, they want him to be on this opening day roster. And he's a Stearns guy. He's a Stearns pick. But again, I definitely I've been impressed to see some of these young guys show out the way that they have. Like we said, Christian Pache has looked good. He's 7 for 10 to start off spring. Christian Pache, the known offensive juggernaut that he is.
Former big-time prospect, though.
Former big-time prospect that could never really hit that much at the major league level. And now, I don't know, maybe you have coaching. Maybe? I don't know. Could that be a thing? Who knows?
I think it's good because, I mean, we talk about like putting pressure on someone. And I feel like this is something you really, really got to put pressure on because they can get comfortable. Is Luis Robert Jr. Is like, here's Luis Robert. Like, do we continue to pay him with the club option? Like, is he someone we want to keep long term? But it's like, oh, well, here's Carson Bench coming up and here's AJ Ewing. And then all of a sudden it's like, there's legit pressure. It's Luis Robert, it's no guarantee. Like, you need to show us that you are who you used to be, because if not, we're going to go with these cheaper young options that we already have.
Yeah, true. I mean, AJ Ewing, I believe, is more of a center fielder than Carson Bench. I think that he's more of a guy to go put out there. I'm hoping that Robert can be the future center fielder of this team because he still has plenty of years left as one. But, there is options. There just always seems like they have options of guys that maybe could get the job eventually and run with it because they've shown things that they can contribute in all facets. With Carson Bench, AJ Ewing, Nick Morabito, another guy who actually has played decent as well. He's had some decent ABs as well. These are guys that don't need to hit at an elite, insane level to contribute to the team. And that's the difference between guys like Brett Beatty, and guys like Bench, I truly believe, and listen, I'm not trying to level in on Beatty at all because he hasn't even played yet. I mean, maybe I am. But when it comes to Brett Beatty, I genuinely believe that Benj is the athlete that everyone thinks Brett Beatty is. Like that's kind of how because he has that lanky frame, just like Beatty. He can give you arm, he can give you speed, something that Brett Beatty doesn't give you. Like Brett Beatty, maybe at the best, give you 110. Can't really do anything remotely well that impacts the team else. Like, yeah, maybe his defense is serviceable now, but it's not something that is a stalwart. His arm's not very strong. He's a slow base runner. Bench can do all of that. And it's similar to like, what we talk about like guys, and even though Frank, I know you're not the biggest fan of this guy, but Tyrone Taylor, like he doesn't have to contribute offensively to contribute to this team. And that was the main reason as to why they needed such a change with the personnel on this roster, because we had the Cheeto Bear who needed to hit to contribute. We had Brandon Nimmo. He needed to hit to contribute. We had Jeff McNeil, who as he gets older, had to hit to contribute. We know that him offensively is not the same that he was a few years ago. They had to open up the dimensions of this team, of guys who can provide so much for this team. And when you have balanced players like that, it turns in a really, really good team for you. And there's no overcompensation. I still think that there's overcompensation in right field for Brett Beatty right now, of him as a utility guy. I've already said publicly, I just don't think that this is the right way to bring him in, but it also is a vision to me. I do think that Beatty is a product of bad player development from the regimes earlier on. I really do. Of that attention to detail or the attention to aspects of the game that just don't seem to be taught as firsthand types of things. And I hope that they finally get into that, where you're talking about Benj, who rose up through the minor leagues last year. AJ Ewing, Nick Morabito. I mean, there's so many guys. He's on the 40-man roster already, Morabito, because they protected him from the Rule 5 draft. You could see how high they are on him. But those guys who, this team, obviously you need your star power, of course. However, you also need these guys that do these little things correctly. You also need those guys who don't need to hit to contribute. Because when we talk about defensive ability, there wasn't much last year. Really wasn't much last year. So, again, these young players, good on display. Let's just say that. MJ Melendez, shout out to him. Two home runs two home runs yesterday. Today. Today, yeah, it happened today. Okay, losing my mind. But when it came to other performances, we had Bichette swinging a decent bat as well. We saw that. We haven't seen Polanco yet. We haven't seen Robert yet. Alvarez played like one game, I think, as well. Yeah, he DH'd. I think he's actually catching tomorrow or the next day after that. And then we have not seen somebody else we haven't seen yet. Luis Torrens has hit the ball well as well. Hayden Sanger even did okay.
Too, got some hits.
Austin Barnes has been good too. I mean, we've seen a lot of decent depth. We really have on display so far. And who knows if it possibly continues. But if it doesn't continue, you're on a minor league deal, buddy. You're out of here. I mean, there's nothing a big risk here, obviously. Big game, I think it was yesterday, from Marcus Semien. Yeah, he's here.
I've seen Moises Alou have big spring trains. I'm not getting impressed by an old guy having a big spring.
He's big, and he's here. All right, we'll see. He's got his bat back. It's back. Tyrone Taylor has looked good too, and then you get to the dud category, which again, these are pretty much overreactions at this current moment. First week, I'll start this one off. With a certain someone who, when I've said competitive swings, he does not apply to this category because I am seeing some shitty swings from him so far. Mark Vientos has looked very ugly right now. It's just been very ugly to look at as of right now. Again, this is someone who definitely has a lot of pressure on him. He's coming off of a season that was not great. He ended the season a little bit better, but he is out of minor league options. We know that he needs to hit. That's it. That's all he can do. And again, another example of previous drafting. Thank you, Brody Van Wagenen. Which, again, Vientos can be a good hitter, but if he's not hitting, he's creating a black hole on the roster. So a lot of these swings he's been taking have just not been good. I'm hoping that he starts to get it going because, again, if he hits maybe in the middle of 2024 to 2025, the lineup gets even deeper. And maybe we are looking at a GH for this team regularly. But as for you, Frank, you have a dud?
He was the one that I was looking at too, only because, like you said, I mean, the hitting is just so important for him, especially this season. Like you said, if there is playing time for him, it would be a DH, maybe to a certain extent first base. But again, it's like he's another one of those players who, in general, is not a good defensive player. I mean, no matter where you put him, his original position was third base. He wasn't good there. So if you're putting a not good defensive player out of position is a bad idea no matter what. I mean, whether it's a position that would be easier for them, whether they're technically better at, it's still just not a good idea. If you're not a good defensive player, you're not a good defensive player. Where you play, you could try to hide it, try to, make it not look as bad. But it really, like you said, they need him to hit. He can't run. Like he's a guy that right now he's listed as a bench player because of, like you said, no minor league options. So if you're going to carry him on the roster as a bench player, can't pinch run, can't be a defensive replacement. So it's like the only thing he has left is to hit. And if we're not seeing hitting, then he really just isn't going to provide any value, And it's like you show these other guys are stepping up. So it's just kind of in a certain sense, like it doesn't make sense where if you see a bunch of guys having a great spring training, and let's say if Vientos struggled, you're like, oh, well, we're going to keep him and just not keep the guys who actually played well. It'd be like, wait a minute, don't you want the guys who are like swinging good bats and putting together good ABs? Like, in a certain sense, like those are guys you'd want to have on your team. But sometimes with minor league options, like you're kind of forced to carry someone and just hope that they figure it out within a certain amount of time before you make that final decision. Because like you said, it's kind of go time for him. Like there was talks about potentially being traded last season with the whole White Sox deal for Luis Robert Jr., who we got, and Acuna ended up being the guy going instead of Vientos. But overall, like there still is just that sort of pressure of that, like if he doesn't provide for them, he's not making it through the season. And especially like you said, he was brought in for a previous regime. They have nothing tied to him with like, oh, we got to make. He's not getting paid a lot of money, so he's not a first round pick. So this really could be it for him. So he needs to show something, and he's just like he's gotten a few games to play, and we just haven't seen anything yet. And it's early, but we're seeing so many other guys get hits, and we have nothing from him.
I just don't want to see him slowly morph into JD Davis. That's what I don't want to see.
Yeah,
we're starting to see
comparison.
That kind of. It's not really just about like the type of stats he has, the concerning part of it. It's one of those things where if you were to talk about what he does provide, it's not much from all aspects. Like we said, the contact can be, the overall discipline, the hit tool can be in and out. He's got power. We know he does. Can't run. Can't give you a good defense at third base. Maybe he has a stronger arm than... I think he has a stronger arm than Beatty, not by much. It's one of those things where it's like, you got to hit. That's it. You just got to hit. And if you're hitting, great. You're a designated hitter because we know what he is capable of and we saw what he did. But if he's not hitting without minor league options left, it could be very, very quick to where we're like, yeah, you're done, buddy. That's it. And there are teams that maybe are rebuilding teams that like him, such as the White Sox, who showed interest in him. And this was, this was the conversation that we were having about Luis Robert. It's like, what can he provide for this team? It's not much if he's not hitting. And with Robert, he's another one of those guys, an example of when I was talking about Ewing, or when I was talking about, like, he doesn't have to hit at an elite level. He doesn't have to be a 130 weighted runs created plus bat, which we know there is potential there, but he doesn't have to be to contribute for the team. I know he's making $20 million. That's a lot of different things, but he can contribute great defense, a strong arm in center field, great base running, base stealing. He can give you that. So it's just one of those things where what is the type of player that he is? They're paying attention to those little details, and that's what I think they've put into more of an emphasis this year as to what they can provide for this team, and not just, well, he hit 310 last year, can't really do anything else. I'm talking about Luis Ariz. This guy can hit, but he can't really do anything else. We've had enough of those, can hit and can't really do anything else. I've had enough of those. Really have. Because there's little details that teams like the Braves do better than us. They don't just have great hitters. They have athletes too. They have great defenders too. You know, they have those types of guys. And with no shift, with defense being even more important now, that's important when you need guys to play defense, especially up the middle. So it's important to have it is important to have a really good defensive center fielder or shortstop or second base. The offense, in addition to that, is definitely gravy for the situation, in my opinion, personally. And yes, it's a little skewered right now when you talk about the salaries of the guys up the middle, like Simeon, 25 million, right? 25 million, 24 million, something like that. Lindor making what he's making, and then Robert, he's making a decent amount of it. But I'm willing to take that hit because, one, obviously you have the financial flexibility to do it, but you also have a situation where they've lacked it for so long that I'm willing to pay anything to get it. Like, literally, I'm willing to pay anything to get it. And they needed to figure out a way to improve that. And if it came at the cost of eating payroll for, a year or two, so be it, because it was an issue. And those were details that they ignored a lot. One other guy we can put out there, Devin Williams, first pitch that he threw today was a home run, which...
But it is a pitch that I saw.
True.
It's a new pitch he's experimenting with, which I will say, I mean, we talked about this with Diaz, at least I did a little bit. I thought that when there were times where he was struggling, I was like, man, I kind of wish Diaz had another pitch, because I felt like there was a sense of predictability, because like if you're a fastball slider and one of your pitches is not working, then you're a one pitch guy. Yeah. And I just feel like Major League Hitters, it just makes it a little too easy. So I will say that someone who, even though he did struggle a bit last year, someone who's had the success levels that Devin Williams has had of like being a top 3 reliever in baseball, along with Edwin Diaz, to still being willing to add a new pitch this late in his career, I think is a good sign, because like we said, like with this Mets team and like this whole new pitching coach, like I like that they're willing to try it. Will this new pitch work? We don't know. But I think the fact that he's willing to try it is encouraging to me. I mean, we'll see what happens. First pitch, not so great, but that's the whole point of spring training. Is
he bounced back right after that, though.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like to get your rhythm, to see what works, what doesn't work. It's just you're trying things out, especially when you're like a proven veteran. And again, he had struggles last year. Don't get me wrong, but when you've had the success levels he's had, you're not really trying to prove anything. You're just more sort of trying to get into shape and ready for the season. And if you could add some new stuff, especially from pitcher side, that definitely could help too.
Yeah, I'm so done. I don't want to talk about the narratives of, well, he blew it and he's going to blow the game for us and he gave up a home run and I'm done with it. Every closer blows games. We've seen it before. Even the guy that everybody wanted back in Edwin Diaz, he had his stretches where he was blowing games as well. We know. Notoriously, he was doing it in the first year he was doing it here. So, again, I'm not getting into that argument anymore. I'm not doing it. I already did it for 6 years with the guy that just went to the Dodgers, so I'm not doing it again. Either way, just by default, because like we said, duds is hard to say from the first week of spring training, but it just comes to a point where it's like, if it's a pitch that he barely throws, that's fine, whatever. And he bounced back right afterwards. That's fine, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. You're not Edwin Diaz. Curse you. You're the worst ever. The typical stuff that Mets fans will say to their closer, which are just completely heinous. when it's a high pressure situation. He also gave up a home run to JJ Weatherholt, who is one of the best hitting prospects in all of Major League. So it's not like he ain't no scrub, okay? He can play. All right. Some other stuff in the chat here. Tony's saying that he basically pitched against Houston's starting lineup too, which I think he was talking about either Wenninger or
about
Nolan. Nolan was pitching. Yeah, he was. I didn't know.
Correa was out there. Pena's out there. Yeah. Christian Walker. I mean, a lot of guys.
Was Jordan? No, Jordan.
No, Jordan. No.
No, he's still hurt. Sheesh. That's another guy. Jeez. We also can put Jose Rojas there for that awful footwork.
And he
there.
hasn't been hitting you. Like say, he's here for the
really
bat, and we haven't seen the bat either.
32 home runs in AAA. So maybe you have your new Daniel Pelka. You remember when he had a ridiculous year for us in the minor leagues?
Yep.
It's nuts.
Again, who's that guy that Andrew always talked about? I already forgot his name.
I think he was a draft. Luke Ritter.
Luke Ritter, that guy. Yeah,
Luke Ritter was like a utility guy who hit a decent amount of home runs, but his batted ball data was so wonky that nobody gave a shit and gave him a chance. He's with the Angels now, so maybe he does get a chance because the Angels.
That makes sense. They're like, good stats. Yeah. Let's try it.
Yeah, Artie Moreno town, we're coming for you. We got to steal. But yeah, like when you were talking about Edwin Diaz of new pitches and things like that, it's kind of hard. It was kind of hard for him, obviously, with a certain arm angle that he has. With Devin Williams, he's a little bit different of a pitcher, so he can add a cutter in there. Maybe he adds in a different type of slider or something. I saw something about him having two different types of sliders he was toying with or something. But also it's more about those adjustments, especially with a guy like Justin Willard, who I think they were talking about the new pitches for Tobias Myers as well. There was some stuff about that as well, who has had a really good career as a reliever as well as a long reliever, who we brought over along with Freddie Fastball. Comes to show. Ken in the chat saying addition by subtraction. I won't say their names. Not going to say it, but addition by subtraction. Yeah. It goes to show, just saying. And as it continues, who knows if it will, but so far, I like what I'm seeing. Definitely. Speaking of what we're seeing and everything else, of all the other details, let's get into your rapid fire stories for this week. The Mets have signed left-handed pitcher Gabriel Rodriguez to a minor league contract. Rodriguez is 26 years old and a former 31st round pick by Atlanta back in 2018. He struggled mightily across 4 seasons in the Braves and Rockies organizations, posting a career 6.96 earned run average across 86 and 2/3 innings pitched, split across rookie and low A ball. Mets infielder Brett Baty has begun outfield reps after being limited due to a minor right hamstring injury over the past few weeks. Mets manager Carlos Mendoza said Baty will be eased into spring training games by playing first base this weekend after completing a simulated game yesterday. Mets starting catcher Francisco Alvarez is expected to be behind the plate tomorrow afternoon against the Nationals in Port St. Lucie. After DHing the past couple days, Alvarez has been on a slow ramp-up since pitchers and catchers reported on February 11th. The 24-year-old has been plagued with multiple hand injuries, which have all required surgery over the past 2 seasons. Mets starting pitcher Clay Holmes is expected to make one more start during spring games before traveling to Houston for the WBC. Holmes will be representing Team USA in the 2026 World Baseball Classic next week. The 32-year-old right-hander made his spring debut against the Blue Jays on Monday afternoon. Mets infielder Vidal Brujan left Monday afternoon's game against the Blue Jays in the 6th inning due to a hand injury. The 28-year-old's left hand was stepped on after sliding headfirst into second base on a stolen base attempt. Brujan is currently on the Mets' 40-man roster after being claimed off waivers from Atlanta as he returned to the Mets lineup on Wednesday after a day of rest. Mets star shortstop Francisco Lindor got his stitches removed on Tuesday after he underwent surgery to remove the hamate bone in his left hand 2 weeks ago. On Wednesday, Mets manager Carlos Mendoza reported that Lindor will begin some impact activities over the next few days as they remain confident he will be ready for opening day on March 26th against Pittsburgh. Mets left-handed reliever A.J. Minter is expected to throw his first live batting practice session next week. The 32-year-old southpaw is hoping to pitch in at least one game before the end of spring training, as he is about a month behind the other Mets relievers. Minter underwent surgery to repair a torn left lat muscle back in May of last year. Legendary Mets radio host Howie Rose is trimming down his broadcasting schedule from 100 games to just 84 for the 2026 season. Howie will be on the call for all 81 home games at Citi Field and 3 on the road in the Bronx. While dealing with health issues over the past few years, the 72-year-old Rose will refrain from traveling until the postseason, where he expects to call every Mets game in that span. All right, so there are your rapid fire stories for this week. We have some other stuff that we can slide into the closing yap session. Of course, there's some other details. We already talked about Peralta being named the opening day starter, which I think we all kind of expected. I mean, obviously we know Nolan McLean, the big guy, but Peralta has experience being an opening day starter. I'm pretty sure he's done it for 3 straight years now for
since Woodruff's had the injuries. So
Woodruff has had the injuries,
and then
Burns is
was
gone.
So
Anyways, we did see some comments about the certain Cheeto Bear. That's what we're referring him to. From Darryl Strawberry, who arrived in camp, of talking about, regretting leaving New York and kind of talking and kind of equating it to, the Cheeto Bear. But I mean, listen, I'm so tired of talking about this at this point, but listen, I am not going to sit here and say, he's going to regret it. He'll regret leaving. Because again, I've already said I've mourned this situation for so long, and it's like I'm ready to move on. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm tired of it. But it does come to a point, because he's been, Darryl's been vocal before and talking about his home run record getting broken by Pete Alonso. So I don't know if there was, again, I'm not going to accuse him of this at all. I don't know if there was maybe some hurt feelings from Darryl Strawberry of seeing Alonso walk. I don't know. I have no clue, because he would be like, oh, well, you're going to break my record and just leave. That's it. I don't know, again. But also there's that in relation to where he has been public before, and he said, leaving New York was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in my career. So, again, there's ways that you can equate it, obviously. Frank, I mean, I don't think that there's really much to it, and I don't think he was really saying it in a very direct way to like, oh, yeah, you're going to regret this, buddy. New York Mets pride. You should have kept with it. But it's just, it comes to a point where we know from experience in terms of Darryl Strawberry that he left New York, and he's been public about it, that he's like, okay, this was one of the biggest mistakes of my career. So it is a 2 cents that you would like to hear, but it's also something of like where, comparisons aren't always linear. Maybe he has success, maybe he doesn't in Baltimore. To be honest, he's not on my team anymore, so I don't really care.
Yeah, I think, free agency is a totally different animal now than it was back then, number one. And everyone's situation is different. And I think for me, like when it comes to free agency, it takes 2 to tango. I mean, we're now going on 2 years where the Mets showed that at least this current regime, they don't really want Pete Alonso. I mean, it wasn't something that was high on the priority list for David Stearns. And it's something where Alonso just took the deal that was offered to him. If the Mets gave something that was even close to what Baltimore offered, I think Pete probably would have took it. But I think overall, like the Mets just didn't see the need or want to give him a deal worth that many years, so he was gone. And like it was simple as that. There was no like, oh well, I'm here to break a record and leave. I don't think there was anything vindictive by Alonso or bad intentions or anything like that from either side. I just think more so the Mets wanted to go in a different direction. I mean, as we've seen, they try to take a different approach. And it wasn't just the Pete thing. Nemo gone, McNeil gone. Yeah. They try to go maybe more a little bit quantity over quality approach. Try to tackle a lot of different sides, maybe get more athletic, a little more non-one dimensional. And Pete, like any player, a player of his caliber, perennial all-star, 30 home run, 100 RBI, 40 home run, what do you want to call it? They want the contract. And who's his agent? Scott Boras. They want the big multi-year contract. And when you reach 30, if someone offers you a contract that many years and you play first base, you probably take it. So I think nobody's at fault here. I think this is what both people wanted. The Mets wanted to go a different direction. Alonso wanted a good contract, and both things happened. So I think, to me, it's like I wish the best for Pete. If he has a great year for him, good for him. But I want the Mets to do well too, and I hope that Polanco works out first base, or whoever plays first base for the Mets. I hope it works out for both sides, because I don't think there was any ill will here or anything like that. I just think at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah, that's basically all it is, and you can't use that emotion to make baseball decisions. You just can't. And bringing back a team that continues to fail, you can't do it. You just couldn't. And I understand everybody, the attachment to it, but it's just, let's move on. Move on already. Like, I get it. He homered twice already in spring. The Mets made a massive mistake. The world is falling. Let's focus on what we are doing as of right now. Because again, I have seen 7 years of Pete Alonso stuffing the stat sheet, and we've won nothing. So I don't care. I'm not blaming him for that. I'm not blaming him for all the failures. Like we said, it's a team. Team wins or team wins, team losses or team losses, whatever you want to say. But I'm not going to sit here and say that he didn't contribute to those losses as well, and was one of the main reasons as to why they needed to make a change from the very, very top. Again, I am so far done with this. I'm tired of talking about it. I saw a tweet go out from James Schiano from the Mets Stuff podcast. He talked about 3-time MVP and 2-time World Series champion Albert Pujols left St. Louis, and it was talked about less than this. And obviously, this is New York. You're going to have a huge a huge spotlight on your team. Flashlight, I don't even know. We're digging tunnels, folks. You're going to have a huge spotlight on your team, and everything that they do is going to be amplified to the max. But Albert Pujols, before he got that contract, and over for his career through age 31, which was the same age that Pete is, for his career, an 1,000 OPS bat, 1,000 OPS plus, 1,000 OPS higher than 1,000 OPS throughout his entire career through age 31.
What Pujols was doing, Cardinals, you can't put into a number, because he was also providing Gold Glove defense at first base. He was that guy. He was.
Before he even got his contract, he could have
retired
and gotten to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how amazing he was.
Yeah.
And even if you want to talk about in totality of his career, even if you want to talk about the totality of his career, before he went to the Angels, before he got to that contract, a career 81.4 wins above replacement. That's insane. Pete Alonso, 23. Get the hell out of here. He doesn't belong in that conversation whatsoever. Come on. That's ridiculous. And again, the Cardinals have had motive for that. They had motive for them to get it, because they actually won with him. They were coming off a World Series.
Multiple times.
Were the Mets coming off a World Series? No. Yeah, twice. 2 World Series. One of them I know that Frank knows very well. It's engraved in his brain. We all are there for it.
And
it's just one of those things.
It's he cost Beltran his one shot at MVP. That's just how good Pujols was. I think, again, the generation he played in, he was probably the best player of that generation, with all steroids considered. Guys who
by far the best hitter.
Yeah. So he played defense too at first base position. He hit for
and if
average,
you compare that to Alonso, has Alonso ever been the best hitter of this generation? No. Get out of here. I don't care if you're a Mets fan who's been a Mets fan for your entire life and you don't watch anything but Mets baseball. Pete Alonso's not the generational hitter that Albert Pujols is. And yes, Albert Pujols aged the way that he did. The Angels are also an insane an organization that we all think is pretty much a social experiment at this point. They're just so awful. But again, it's just one of those things. And even though we all know what he was capable of, Pujols, even in his later days when he went to, what was it, out of that awful organization in the Angels, he was chasing 700. Everybody, this was one of the biggest things on, like, come on, like, get out of here. Stop comparing him to, the Hall of Fame talents. And listen, who knows? I'm sure Alonso, he gets 500 home runs, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. But Pujols, come on. Let's not put that in the same conversation. That's ridiculous. Barnes saying in the chat, saying, you're not going to give us an update every time Pete hits a home run. I'm going to give you the opposite, to be honest. Every time he strikes out, that's when I'm going to tweet. I'm going to do that. I think I don't know if he's talked about this before, but I don't know if Ibby is watching in the chat. He already said that, like, I might make an account that was like, did Pete Alonso strike out today? Like those accounts that just like are like, yes, no, yes, no,
dong,
yeah,
or stuff like that.
Yeah. Did he hit a home run? Did he play today or something? Did Ben Simmons play today? No. It's just one of those, those spam accounts. I don't know if Ibby's in the chat though, but if Ibby's watching, shout out to you. A better comparison to is Adam Dunn. Sure. I've always compared him, if you're going like Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer, if you want to go with that. I've always talked about Harmon Killebrew as someone that he's the best comparison to.
I mean, Killebrew did play a little bit of third base because, I mean, there's one of my guys from back in the day.
And Pete Alonso came up as a third baseman.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah. Maybe he could play some
both
for...
right-handed, I mean...
Isn't Westberg hurt again? Maybe he could play some third base for them, Pete. I would love to see it.
That would be interesting. And we would be not complaining nearly as much about Bo Bichette at third base. That's all I know.
Yeah. And listen, we've seen bad third basemen defensively before, so you might as well put an athlete there, right? J.D. Davis ain't an athlete, right? Mark Vientos ain't an athlete. Talked about that before, right? I mean, listen... I think he's going to be serviceable enough, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You have other options for third base defensively. And, when you have Lindor next to you, it can cover a lot of sins. We saw it cover a lot of sins with Vientos when we went on that big run. So it's not like, again, you got a team that complements each other, a team of dogs willing to fight for each other, no matter what. There was a mini golf tournament between some of our players. I think it was like Lindor, Soto, was Peterson in there? There was somebody else? I don't know. There was a report about it. But it's nice to see Lindor get his stitches out, already working on gripping the bat with that injury, because we all know that the hamate bone is the gripping the bat, already working on the gripping on a mini golf club. So that's the drive we like to see, That is the drive we like to see. But
I thought they don't get along. Why
they don't.
Mini-golfing
they definitely don't get. They hate each other, despise you. In fact, I think they were smacking each other with the clubs by the 8th hole out of 18. So they got into a physical altercation. They were doing a joust with the golf clubs. So that's what I heard from my sources that don't exist, because it didn't happen. Speaking of other stuff, I forgot to mention this, actually. It's just a detail. Speaking of Bo Bichette, he actually chatted with Matt Chapman and Nolan Arenado during the offseason about transitioning to third base. So, obviously he's 100% going to be just like them if you talk to him. But that's some good voices to talk to.
They could teach him, and there's some things that you just are not going to have. You either have it or you don't. When you talk about those guys,
I wanted them to trade for Matt Chapman. I wanted them to do it, but they didn't do it. They decided to say, "Hey, J.D. Davis is fine. We got Brett Beatty in the system. So we have Eduardo Escobar. He makes TikToks and makes us smile. That's fine. It's just one of those things." We also had some other things, like we said, Lambert chugging eggs, this whole thing. Like we said, listen, I don't know. I am not a fitness person by any means. I know everyone, no shit. I get it. But I don't know if that's okay. But again, relievers are so wild and so weird they need some loose screws in them. You know, I listen, if you have a closer that can throw 100 miles an hour because of it, go ahead and do it. He's got an elite fastball. So it's not like he's just emptying. It's just empty velocity, such as some of these pitchers that, you know, like what's his name from certain tipping angles from Ryan Helsley when he was here. It was empty velocity at that current point. He was hitting 101, 102. With Lambert, he has a ridiculous shape, ridiculous movement. Like I said, he was up to 23 inches of induced vertical break, which is just ridiculous of fastball shape, especially from a guy from that certain arm angle that he throws from. Ridiculous. But you need guys with loose screws. You need guys who are insane. I would love to see that. And, you know, Dylan Ross, maybe that's another guy with velocity, and maybe that's where it comes from in this bullpen. I don't know. Maybe it does. Who knows? But there also was, yeah, you know, even some of your guys, like some examples. Frank, your guy Pete Fairbanks, that guy's a little nuts. He's a little nuts, and he's one of the best closers in all of baseball. So you know, you get guys who get pumped up and throw with adrenaline, and as long as they're not, you know, as long as the ball is not 10 feet outside of the plate, we're good with it. We'll take
it.
We definitely
whatever
like it.
Works at this point. You know, like
yeah, sure.
I don't think it's health recommended, but listen, we'll take it. Because I mean, we've seen some bad relievers too, though. So
we've seen bad, very bad.
A lot.
And we know that David Stearns has done a very good job. He was a David Stearns pick. He was one of those first ones in the 8th round. So yeah, and everyone from that draft class too. That's another detail I can put out here. Everyone from that draft class has been pretty good so far in the minors. So it's building up. Sorry, Stearns, not to glaze you at all. Anyways, speaking of, I don't know if anybody in the chat here has realized this over the past 24 hours, but we do have a new banner that is up on our YouTube channel. We have plenty of new stuff coming, plenty of announcements coming as well over these next few weeks. A lot of exciting things are going to be happening this season. And we are definitely going to be going to the next level in 2026 for our show and for our content. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Keep your ears open. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, all of that stuff. Make sure to see for those announcements that are coming up in the next coming days. But yeah, for our new banner, I made sure to just, you know, put some sarcasm in there and, you know, play into some of the rumors that are always made. I put Stearns on there just to piss everyone off that doesn't believe in him anymore because you're wrong. Sorry. I put Steve Cohen in there for those who thinks he only cares about this casino. That's fine. And then I put Lindor and Soto together because they hate each other. So, you know, that's something that I think was very important. And then Nolan McLean, we know, is amazing. And then I also put Alvarez there as a placeholder for Frank because if Peralta does sign an extension, I think we will replace Alvarez with Peralta so we have 2 pitchers and 2 hitters. So that's the placeholder right now. So hopefully it gets done. But yeah, hope you guys all like the new banner. Definitely trying my hand at some new graphics and everything. Lots of fun stuff coming up. So make sure to be on the lookout of that. Last thing before we go, I know he hasn't been in the organization for a while, and we've seen him in other uniforms. Shout out to Kicking It with Keith, who's been a guest on this show before, who was watching the Braves spring training. This is just weird. It just is unsettling. It's not like I don't like it because, again, Dom Smith failed here, but him in a Braves uniform is just weird. That is weird. Anyone else completely uncomfortable looking at this? I don't know. That is just very, very odd to me. And then the final thing, Juan Soto is coming for Ohtani's crown, apparently. He said that he wants it. So I would love to, because if he does go to that MVP level, this team's going to be really, really good. We know that he finished 3rd last year.
He better learn how to pitch.
Yeah. He might have to. Yeah.
a tough one to
Or maybe
beat.
you have like a gambling addiction that comes up with Ohtani. You never know. You just don't know. Because, there's some seeking suspicions there.
Or maybe a
So,
salary cap.
Maybe a
And
salary
they have
cap.
to void
and
his contract and just
they have to
not
void his
be on the team
contract, move
anymore.
him back to the Angels.
Yeah.
Never know. Some comments here. Ricardo saying, Helsley, don't remind me of that complete waste. Yeah, that was a disaster. Barnes saying, I'm just waiting for AJ Ewing's MVP season. Boy, that would be awesome. AJ Ewing,
What is on
I
your
finally figured out who he
toast?
reminds me of.
What is that?
AJ Ewing?
No, on Barnes. What is that on his toast?
Oh, I don't know. Is it Beatles? I don't know.
Oh,
On his,
no.
on his, I don't know. Are those, I don't know. No clue. Those, you can clarify, Barnes, if you want to tell us what's in your profile pic, because we're just yapping at this point. But yeah, AJ Ewing, I finally figured out who he reminds me of, and I was talking about this in our chat earlier. Bryce Terang, very 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 similar to him. He's got like helium power, two-way player, can play up the middle for you. That's kind of what I envision him at. I was trying to find like something. I was like, he's similar to someone. I don't know who it is. Peanut butter and honey blackberries. Peanut butter, honey, and black. Okay, well, not bad. Interesting profile picture.
Is new for me, but hey, man, if you like it, go for it. I mean, it's better than the 30 raw eggs, I guess. So, not a bad breakfast.
Yeah, raw eggs probably do not taste great.
No.
Likely don't. Probably don't. But if it helps you throw 100 miles an hour, you stay healthy. That's awesome. I'm not sure if there's anything else that we didn't cover. Lots been going on for this first week. It's been exciting. But yeah, we'll see. I am very encouraged by what we have been seeing so far. Again, I don't know if I said this at the top of the show, but I feel like the players just look more prepared for this time. Like they just look a lot more prepared and like not lacking as much focus. Like we're not just waiting for that over their shoe to drop at this current moment where, it's just a big flow of awful baseball we're seeing. We've seen some ding ups, obviously, spring training. But so far it's run smooth. So I think we can call the first week of spring training a success. I think we can. I think it's looked good. I'm not sure. I haven't really been keeping track of it, but I can look it up right now. We're 4-2 in the Grapefruit League. It's not bad. Usually, we're not that great in the Grapefruit League.
They're 4-0 away as well.
They are. Yeah, they are 4-0 away. I think they've had 2 ties so far, maybe 2 ties, 1 tie. I don't know. But the Grapefruit League championship is very important. Mets are in 4th place in Grapefruit League right now. So we're coming for it. We are coming for it. But we'll see. As for tomorrow, we have Tobias Myers, who is going to be probably making an opener type start, maybe 2 innings, something like that. They're probably having him stretched out to be a starter, just so he can give you, that type of, long relief. Likely going to be on the opening day roster, obviously. And then they don't have anybody scheduled for March 1st or March 2nd. I'm actually going to be going down to Port St. Lucie on the 6th to the 10th. So I'm going to hopefully get to see one of McLean or Peralta get to pitch. No, I won't. I will not.
No,
McLean's going to be in the WBC. Yeah. And then, so maybe I'll see Peralta. Or maybe I'll get to see my good pal David Peterson pitch. Wouldn't that be cool? Because he hasn't pitched yet.
That would be cool.
It would be poetic, wouldn't it? Yeah. It really would be poetic. So yeah, I'm probably going to see like 2 or 3 games. Yeah. So we'll see. Any recommendations there? Because you were just there. Recommendations of things to do?
I'll tell you off stream because our buddy Andrew, he had. I mean, Port St. Lucie is an interesting place. You know what I mean? Like it is. It's not like Florida has a lot going on, and Port St. Lucie just not at the top of the list of places that people want to go. So you have to know where to be because
I might go to the Jupiter
Okay.
stadium as well to see them like on the road,
All
maybe
right.
a little
Nice.
bit. So we'll see. Maybe I'll see Craig Kimbrell pitch. He hasn't pitched yet. Who
Yeah,
else
I
have
mean,
we
you
not
see a
seen?
Hall
We
of
haven't seen
Famer,
Robert.
you
We
get,
haven't
you're
seen
getting real lucky
Polanco.
then. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be
Oh,
really like
even
I
though
would
you have to be
I would be like mirroring his motion there. I would be his biggest fan.
Now that I like to see.
Who else have we not seen yet? We've seen a decent we've seen a decent amount of a lot of like the minor league relievers, but with no Drew Smith. We've seen that Joe Jaquez guy or whatever. He was one of the first additions we've made this offseason. So yeah, little fun fact, the useless fact. We've seen a lot of Gray Kessinger, who I believe is a grandson of a former big leaguer. So that's interesting, right? Very, very interesting. Totally. We've seen Melendez, we've seen Talkman, we've seen Taylor. We haven't seen Robert Polanco. We haven't seen Polanco yet. We've seen very little of Alvarez. We have not seen Beatty yet. Beatty is going to make his debut tomorrow, and he's going to be playing first base. So we'll see how that works. Let's see. Who else have we not seen? We haven't seen Jeff McNeil yet. Oh, wait. No, wait. Oh, wait.
What about Senga?
We haven't seen Lindor,
he hasn't
obviously.
pitched yet.
No
right?
Senga yet. No Peterson, no Manaya yet.
Yeah.
We've seen Holmes.
So
We haven't seen Weaver yet. Minter is obviously far behind. Yeah, we've seen Myers. Yeah, Don Kessinger. There you go. So there's a baseball history buff there in the chat that can. I think it's either his nephew or his grandson. I'm not sure. Not sure, but that's a pretty wide range of generations. So that's not much of a that's a decent difference. So maybe we'll fact check on that.
Did you know Bo Bichette's dad played in Major League Baseball?
I did know that. Yeah. Okay. I did know that. I did know he did. And did you know that Vlad Jr.'s dad, Vlad Sr., played?
Oh, wow.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just learned that today. Today. But yeah. Any other trivia? I don't know. I don't know if we know.
I don't have it on me. Maybe next
I
time.
don't have any other useless facts. I mean, absolutely nothing whatsoever. But yeah, great to see Jorge Polanco today. Not Jorge Polanco. Freddie Peralta. Oh my God. Freddie Peralta. It's good to see him pitch today, even though it wasn't televised. Quick work. What we expect from him. Noel McLean. That was awesome. Speaking of Freddie Peralta, whenever you want to get that extension done,
yes, please. Oh,
please do it. Go ahead and do it, because that means that you're going to be guaranteed at least 5 years of a 1-2 punch of McLean and Peralta.
And you get on the Mets Weekly banner.
Yeah, and you get on the Mets. That's the biggest thing for Peralta. Sign that extension, you get on a banner. Like, that's awesome. That's sick. I would love to be on a banner. That'd be cool.
I'm sure you're on somewhere.
I probably am, yeah.
You're in some nice Hall of Fames.
Yeah. I don't even want to know. Either way, we're going to wrap it up here. Frank, any last stuff? Welcome back, obviously. It's been a rocky scheduling for you, but, we try to get you when we can.
Yes, no, it is tough. I mean, this time of year, it's just the 1 o'clock games, everything. It's a lot. Traveling with this weather, it was, wow. I got more than I bargained for. So glad to be back. Glad that baseball is back. We got the WBC soon, even though that's a whole other debacle that I'll have to save for another time, because that was very upsetting as someone who really likes the WBC with what's going on there. But overall, you're still going to watch it. And, like we said, we saw Peralta. Hope we're going to see Alvarez catch. So we're back. We are back.
We're so back. We really are just so back. Useless fact from Paul Revere, one of the celebrities.
Paul Revere would know. Come on.
Yeah, Paul Revere would know. He's seen a lot. Let's just say that. Celebrity in the Till Mets Do Us Part chat, by the way. Saying, useless fact, Matt Franco is Kurt Russell's nephew. So I think we'll end on that. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, tuning in. here live. Again, keep your eyes peeled for some announcements we have over this next week. It is going to be very, very exciting. 2026 is going to be very exciting because we have a lot that is going to be planned and a lot of things that are going to be lined up. So please stay tuned for that. It is going to be awesome. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel. Turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. Also, make sure to go follow us individually. Follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Make sure to also follow our third co-host, Andrew, who is not feeling the best today. So if you want to message him on Twitter, I don't even know if he has the DMs open because he likes to be under the radar. Say feel better from someone in the Mets Weekly chat, I guess.
Or send him a baseball card.
Yeah, send him a baseball card that can be autographed. But either way, we miss you, Andrew. Hopefully we see you again. Anyways, yeah, that's it. First week of spring training in the books. On to the second week. It's going to be fun. Let's go Mets. And we will see you guys next time.